Hi Stats class, it's Miss O'Neill, getting ready to go over assignment number 5, parallel and perpendicular lines number 1. In this assignment, you are going to be asked to write the equation of a line either being parallel or perpendicular to the information that's provided. So this one's really going to be one of those reading prompts that you got to be careful with, okay? I'm going to complete questions 6, 7, and 8 with you, so follow along. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Mr. Parada. On question number 6, it asks us to write the equation of a line that is parallel to this equation and passes through that point. So, pulling out our important details. If I read the word parallel, we have to remind ourselves that parallel lines have same slopes. So the slope that I want to create in my equation has to be the same slope that was in this equation. If I'm looking at the equation originally, 2x plus y equals 7, can't find my slope yet. We need to get the 2x away from the y. So to do so, I would subtract. That would leave me with a y. And remember what we had talked about in previous videos. I always like to have my x term written first because that's the normal y equals mx plus b we're used to. So if I look in front of the 2, it's a negative. If I look in front of the 7, it's a positive. So my m is going to be negative 2 from this equation. So if I want to be parallel, I have to keep this m. We're going to be using it. I'm also going to use the point 1, 9. And we talked about in previous examples, not a bad idea to remind yourself which one's the x and which one's the y. If you have your slope, following what it asks for, and you have a point, you can now write the equation using your point-slope formula. Plugging in your m should be equal to the original equation. Plugging in your y value, and then plug in your x value. No extra double negatives here, so we don't have to worry about simplifying. Here is your answer. Mr. Parada does not want you to distribute, and he does not want you to get y alone. Keep it in point-slope formula. So, moving it on down. Number 7, write the equation of a line that is perpendicular, keyword, to y equals 1/2 x plus 3 and passes through point 5, negative 2. So perpendicular is negative reciprocals. And remember what we had talked about. We're flipping it and reversing it. So the first thing I have to do is find the m that they have given us. Always next to x. Nice thing about this equation, it's in y equals form. No need to worry about what is my slope. I can see it right away. In order for me to first start out, I have to flip it. So that would be 2 over 1 instead of 1 over 2. And reverse it. If it's a positive, we're going to make it into a negative. Technically speaking, I can shorten this out a little bit by doing negative 2 divided by 1 and just get a negative 2. This is the m that I'm going to choose to use in our equation. Our slope is here. Our point that they have given us is 5, negative 2. X and y. Plugging it into our point-slope formula. I always like to write it out first just to make sure that I'm putting my pieces in the correct spot. We have y minus y1, that's a negative 2, equals m, negative 2. X minus x1, 5. You could technically get rid of this extra double negative by saying y plus 2 and rewriting everything else down. Here is your final answer. All right, number 8. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to x plus y equals 7 and passes through the point 8, negative 1. In this situation, again, perpendicular is a negative reciprocal, which means we have to do two parts here. We want to flip and reverse our slope. Unlike number 7, I need to find my slope first by solving for y. If my x, which has an imaginary 1 right here, is positive, we're going to make it into a negative to move it. Looking at my pieces, I'm going to put the x term first by looking in front and seeing its sign and its number. Looking for an F7, that's a positive. So once I've gotten y alone and I know where my x term is, I can tell myself that my slope is -1, okay? If I want to make the negative reciprocal, my first step is to take -1 and to flip it. If 1 was on top, we're going to put it on the bottom. And since it didn't show a bottom value, we can talk about how there was that imaginary 1 underneath that will also be written on top. And then we're going to do the reverse, meaning if it was a negative, it's going to turn into a positive. Just to double check, 1 divided by 1 should be 1, so this might be the easier piece for your m to write. Your point is 8, -1 with an x and a y. And if we're setting up our point slope formula, we have y minus our y value, m, and x minus your x value. Get rid of that double negative by saying y plus 1 equals 1 times the quantity of x minus 8. And there's your equation for number 8. Good luck on the rest.